Welcome back to Winners and Losers, your post-race edition for the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix. We've had a couple of days now just to, think over the race, and I think we can all still agree, what an absolute cracker. Loved it. Loved every single second. Max Verstappen, your eventual winner. Sorry, yeah, spoilers. I'd have liked to have thought you've seen the race by now. Charles Leclerc, so close to his first ever Formula One victory, but snatched away with 2 laps to go. A controversial move from Verstappen. No penalty decided in the end, which if you saw my race review, you will know I don't think it should have been a penalty. But today, Winners and Losers, if you're not aware, is the show where we have a little chat about 3 drivers that did particularly well and have come away from Austria on a bit of a high, and 3 drivers that had a bit of a damp weekend and really will want to forget it as quickly as possible. And that's where we're going to start this week with our losers. And as you will see in this video, we've got a new graphics package, if you want to call it that. At the moment, it's our 300th ever video today on the channel, and I've decided to change things up a little bit. So, our first loser in Austria is Kevin Magnussen. To be honest, the Haas team in general, it's been a pretty diabolical weekend. High temperatures in Austria, which the team weren't expecting. No one was expecting. Really caught out the team. And Magnussen, who qualified 5th and did so well in qualifying, had that grid penalty dropped him down to 10th. Finished 19th behind a Williams. Got that drive-through penalty for overstretching when he was lining up on the grid. Out of position in his grid box. Drive-through penalty. And this is a statistic which, I don't think many people would be aware of. Magnussen has only outraced Grosjean this season once. Once has he done it, and that's not including DNFs. And as well, Grosjean, to be fair to him, has only DNF'd once from contact, and that was when Lance Stroll went into the back of him in Bahrain. Every other time it's been a mechanical failure. So, on a fair basis, Magnussen hasn't had the best of seasons. However, he is the driver at Haas at the moment, picking up the points. 2 points finishes this season. 1 coming all the way back in Australia. The other in Spain. And Spain was the one time where he actually did outrace Grosjean. But funnily enough, that was the race where those two had a bit of a scrap. Grosjean was the better of the 2 in that race, but Magnussen got him late on a really difficult weekend for the team. Magnussen, to be honest with you, really, a bit like Grosjean, need to try and find some points sooner rather than later because it's not looking good for the team. Second loser, and I think this is the first time ever Lewis Hamilton's been in our loser section. Diabolical, was it a diabolical weekend? Well, I think it was. If we look at that, the top tier group in Formula One, that top 5, this was the first race where Hamilton was at the bottom of that list. It was the first race he wasn't on the podium, which still is a crazy statistic, and it's testament to the season this guy's had. That 5th place is a bad position, but qualified 2nd, that's respectable. 3-place grid penalty for impeding Kimi Raikkonen, something you don't see Hamilton do all that often, and it's something he got away with last season in Brazil, impeding Sergei Sorokin, which was 10 million times worse. Again, we're going to be always talking about inconsistencies this season with penalties, but got that penalty in quali, which, to be honest with you, I wasn't really too sure should have been a penalty, but that's neither here nor there. In the race, things didn't get much better. I mean, we saw 10 million times Lewis Hamilton failing to do turn 1, going wide, damaging his front wing, had to do an extra long pit stop. So he qualified 2nd, got a 3-place grid penalty and started 4th. Yeah, the maths were a bit strange there. If you're still confused by that, I recommend going and watching Stuart Chamber's video. It's only 2 minutes long, but did a really good job of explaining that one. But still, qualified, ended up starting 4th, ends the race 5th. Not great from Lewis Hamilton. Beat by Sebastian Vettel, who started down in 9th. Yeah, one to forget for sure for what I think will be this year's world champion. Next up, and our final loser, I think, we all saw this one coming. Leclerc, though, not in the losers section this week. Still, I think for him, Leclerc, you know what? 2nd place, that's still him learning in Formula One. Still a strong result for Ferrari, but our biggest loser, arguably this week, Pierre Gasly. So much speculation flying around at the moment, and I believe today Helmut Marko has come out and said that he will not be replaced this season, so adding fuel to the fire, if you will. But Gasly, man, it's not gone well for him, and I've been an advocate of Red Bull should keep Pierre Gasly. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think it's a little bit. He's got a bit of the Stoffel Van Dorn syndrome this season, where he's up against one of, I don't want to say the all-time best, because I think that's a little bit premature for Verstappen, but for sure he's one of the best on the grid this season. So is it a little bit of that? Yeah, sure. But it seems to be getting worse and worse each weekend, and whether that's Verstappen getting used to that Honda engine, getting used to this year's cars, I'm not really too sure, but this weekend, arguably one of the worst of Gasly's Formula One career, lapped by his teammate. Not only that, out-qualified by Antonio Giovinazzi, both Alfa Romeos out-qualified him, and Carlos Sainz, who started last, 19th on the grid, and George Russell started in the pit lane, so, not totally last, but 19th on the grid, finished only 4 seconds behind him. I don't know what's going on with Gasly at the moment. He showed so much promise last season. Another race to forget. And to be honest, I hope next time in Silverstone he can turn it around. And another driver looking forward to Silverstone. In our winners section, we're going to start with Lando Norris. And perhaps, I don't know, I've said this in my race review with McLaren, maybe they are the clear best of the rest team now. That's 2 or 3 weekends in a row where McLaren seem to be at the head of the midfield. And maybe at this point, I should stop saying, McLaren had a really good weekend being best of the rest, because maybe that's just where they are. But saying that, Norris qualified P6, elevated to P5 on the grid after Kevin Magnussen's penalty, fighting with Lewis Hamilton on the first lap. Awesome to see. He was getting so stuck in. Really, Hamilton is a 5-time champion. This guy is only in his 9th Formula One race, driving in a McLaren against a Mercedes who's won every single race this year, and was giving him a run for his money. It didn't last long. It didn't even last a full lap. However, the guts it took from Norris to do that in that short space of time was awesome. He got passed by Raikkonen in that fight with Hamilton. Raikkonen, a world time champion, a Formula One world champion back in 2007, fair play. However, to work his way, that dive bomb he did at the top of the hill at turn 3 or turn 2, whatever you want to call it, another awesome move from Norris. Completely held his own today, plenty of overtakes, didn't look like he was a rookie. And both McLaren drivers, once again, I don't know where this form is coming from, doing a cracking job this year. And if you look back at most people's reviews at the end of last season and through the winter, I don't think anyone expected this. So going into Silverstone, their home Grand Prix for the team, they're going to be absolutely buzzing. The Dutch fans, they're buzzing. So, and this is the reason why the Orange Army went to Austria in what seemed like their millions. The track was flooded with orange, which is always beautiful to see, and they were treated beautifully. Verstappen, the drive of the season, I think, even if you think it was a penalty, the start he had, the fight through the field he had, and considering this team, this is the first season with Honda, considering how dominant Mercedes have been, even Ferrari, the Ferrari car has been a step ahead of Red Bull all season long. This seems to be not completely out of nowhere, because Verstappen's put in some really solid performances this year, but to drop back to 8th at the end of the first lap, to then fight his way through the field like he did, absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I was stunned. I thought the race was not necessarily over after lap 1, but I was 99% sure Leclerc was going to get the victory. But an awesome strategy from Red Bull, long through the first stint, had 10 laps fresher tyres, so arguably the winners this weekend are Red Bull, but the Gasly side of things, not too great. But Verstappen, how he overtook Bottas, caught him completely napping, brilliant overtake on Vettel, and even with Leclerc, it was I said yesterday, a little bit on the edge for me, a little bit, oh, Max, oh dear, a little bit dirty. I don't think it should have been a penalty. And you know what? Even if I think it was dirty, it was hard racing. And that's what I love to see, to be honest with you. And again, gutted for Charles. But Max was on another level this weekend, Prestige Master, if you will. And our final winner is the other McLaren driver, Carlos Sainz. And as I said a minute ago, maybe this is where the McLarens should be. You know, 7th and 8th now in the championship. Norris has moved up a few places after his brilliant result this weekend. However, Sainz, oh my God, did I feel for him going into the race. Such limited time through practice. Qualifying was deemed to start at the very back of the grid. He seems so downbeat. And although we didn't see it on the TV very much, and if you've been here for the full season, you will know, I've not had the best relationship with the TV producers this year. I think they've been missing out on a brilliant midfield battle. Sainz from 19th to 8th, 4 seconds behind Gasly. That is absolutely incredible. And honestly, it blows my mind. In a McLaren car, which at the end of last season was fighting with the Williams, to be able to do that so confidently, so easily, to pass cars, I mean, the Haas car had an off weekend, but to pass the Renault cars, two of the best drivers in the midfield with absolute ease, to get past those Racing Point boys so quickly, and to be able to catch up with Gasly in the race-winning car, fair play, Carlos Sainz. Honestly, again, McLaren as a whole team this weekend have surprised me so much. And perhaps, yeah, for the rest of the season, I might just have to, concede that this isn't a brilliant job. This is just where the car's pace is. But again, to finish that close, I mean, even to his teammate Norris, this is a guy that last season got so much hate, despite the fact he had the most points finishes out of anyone that wasn't in the top 3 teams. I think he's really proven to people now and to Red Bull that he deserved the chance in their car. And honestly, yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. But that's your lot for winners and losers. If you've got any more suggestions, throw them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Again, apologies for the echoey room. That should be sorted out by next week, especially, or certainly by the British Grand Prix. So thank you so much for sticking through this awkward time with me. Again, thanks for watching today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.